you probably could run. You could probably also hide. It's Attack of the Knockoffs. Whatever. I kind of already spoiled it, but how's it going, YouTube? It's Lucas here from DVD205 channel, and today a video on the Nico Turbo Aero. Yeah, and the Nico Outlaw, Tycho Outlaw. So, these are knockoffs, and I strangely enough found them at the same Goodwill, which is interesting. So this, as I've already said, is a knockoff of a Nico Turbo Aero. It's actually technically a Nipco. Great job, guys. It's actually a fully functioned, corded RC, by the fact that you can tell that it's permanently bound to the RC, or the car itself. It's actually not too far off from the Turbo Aero. I mean, other than its extremely cheap look and feel, and it weighs about nothing. It's a two-wheel drive, fully functioned RC. I don't know why I can't talk. That has the pistol grip style controller, only being powered by 4 AA's. Strangely, just move this away so I have more room. Only being powered by 4 AA's. It does not have a differential. I'll get to that soon. And just has steering, which is only just a motor, so noise warning. It sounds horrible whenever you try to steer, but luckily it has separate steering and throttle, so at least they did that. It tries to emulate Nico's style of suspension, but what ends up happening anyways is it just bends, because I think these are plastic, so they didn't even do that right. Interestingly, there's 2 shocks back here, and it is the softest suspension I've ever felt. It actually seems about right for what this vehicle should be. It's not abnormally stiff. No 2-speed back here. You just get single speed, no differential. I'll get to that popping sound. Currently, that popping sound is probably like a snare drum type situation. I mean, I tore it open, but I never really actually dug too much into it. Where it just hits a sheet of thin metal, I think, and it just makes a popping sound. It's supposed to sound like an engine that would go in here. This thing kind of looks too space age to actually have a VW Beetle sounding engine in it. So, I mean, it worked a lot better when I actually got it for some reason. I don't know why it just stopped working. But yeah, it's supposed to make that sound when you're driving, and it sounded pretty nice when it actually was, well, when I got it anyway. So yeah, that's the not Nico Turbo Aero. It's actually technically the Aero tuned, though strangely, for being a knockoff, it has a Bridgestone tire sticker on it. I don't know how they got away with that. I don't know how they got away with this either. It's quite clearly, I mean, I could have fooled you by using an actual Nico controller, and you totally could have told that that's what that's supposed to be. Aside from the fact that it doesn't have a horn and has the only half working start, go, and stop button. So yeah, that's the Nipco Aero tuned. It sounds so ridiculous. And that's about all that I can say. I haven't found anything on this. I mean, occasionally just see Nico and Nipco kind of used together, but they shouldn't be, generally speaking, because I can't imagine this actually was done by Nico. Even if this is supposed to be like a super budget thing, it's just too garbage. So, let's move aside from the Nipco Aero tuned, getting to a slightly more interesting thing. So I was kind of actually bummed that it wasn't a Tycho thing, Outlaw. This is a something Dirt Fox. I haven't really found too much on this other than it's supposed to be a Tycho Outlaw, or Tycho Turbo Outlaw, because the Tycho Outlaw is or Nico Outlaw, whatever. I don't know, naming is weird. This thing is not technically fully functioned, for it does not have regular steering. It just has a solid axle in the front with suspension, which is interesting. It has tank steering, or should. It should have tank steering. I don't know why mine doesn't work. It has the contactors and everything on there. Just something got caught up in the vehicle itself, so it just does not turn. It does go forward though, very slowly. The tires are bent. It actually has, well, since it has tank steering, it has two separate motors, both of which sounding horrible and like they don't even want to work. Chassis doesn't have batteries and everything because the batteries are in here. 2C batteries, so 3 volts for this thing. I mean 3 volts. Well, that was 6 volts, but this one's 3. This thing, I kind of like how it looks, not gonna lie, but like, I mean, you can tell it's faded already. I mean, I'm sure Taika Outlaw of the time would be just as faded, but like, they did a fairly decent job. I mean, yeah, it's passable. It's trying to be its own thing, kind of, except that it totally isn't. I already showed off the controller a little bit, but it is luckily a twin stick controller. I guess I should have mentioned the other one has, you know, whatever. Twin stick controller, which is kind of nice, even though it has tank steering. Forward and, I mean, it's sloppy. You can obviously tell that it's not doing anything. Only then does it actually do something. The controller stickers are a bit weird, because either that's a clock in military time, or, well, I don't even know what that thing's supposed to be. If it's a clock, why does a sprint car have a clock? And if that's the speedometer and check engine lights, why does the sprint car have any of that stuff? I mean, obviously, I guess you got to have like oil temperature and, or not oil temperature, but engine temperature and all that stuff. But you don't usually need a speedometer for your sprint cars, because yeah, that would be weight. There's one feature that I never really talked about. Doesn't have suspension. There's one feature that I didn't talk about, is that it's supposed to, as it says on there, wheelie somewhere. Wheelie action team. It's supposed to wheelie, and it kind of does, if I can get the cord out of the way. It doesn't really get much traction on the bench, but I'm sure if I got it going a bit faster, it would wheelie. But a lot of the weight is biased back here, so it does in fact wheelie. Technically, that means you can also turn it while you're wheeling, although that doesn't make any sense. Technically, since the tires would be different sized, it would be going one way, turning anyway, but whatever. So it wheelies, kind of, and also gets stuck. It totally does not have the power to wheelie, or do a standing wheelie, obviously. So that's why you have to reverse and then go forward, because it's a 3 volt system. And I would totally try to see how much power I can actually cram into this thing, but I kind of care about it. So yeah, that's the not applicable Dirt Fox, and the Nipco Aero tuned. If I can grab the right controller. That's my video on these. You can, yeah, a kind of bad video for fairly decent RCs, actually. If you weren't tethered to this thing, I would actually drive this a lot more. If this thing turned, I'd also use this one a lot more. I can't say that they're bad, necessarily. Just, why wouldn't you make your own thing? I mean, I get it. It's a lot easier to ride off of other people's success, but, like, whatever. So, that's my video on these things. If you see them, you grab them, I guess, if you really wanted to. If you see them online, if you can find literally anything on them. And I actually found out, since recording this video last, what this thing's supposed to be based on. It's the Turbo Aero. Yeah. Otherwise, decals are good on both of them actually. Clearances aren't that great because this tire rubs on this body. This one just straight up doesn't have steering. It's strange. Well, I mean, steering up in the front anyway. So yeah, that's my video on these things. They're cheap, I guess. I don't really know if they're... I didn't find anything on these, so don't get angry at me if I don't have anything interesting to say about them. So, Lucas out. Bye, YouTube.